Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be once again talking about another Smackdown. This is the final Smackdown before Hell in a Cell. Smackdown has always provided good content, and I must say, sometimes well, I wouldn't say sometimes, I feel like I should say all the time, I feel like Smackdown delivers every time. I don't see an episode where I feel like Smackdown makes me mad. It's like a rarity now. It's like a rarity, I would say, it was a bad Smackdown, but nowadays it's always, oh, Raw is the bad show, we all know it. There's just so many people we don't care about, other than the women on the show. But gee whiz, man, I just don't know what to say when it comes to Raw. Raw just straight up sucks. Here on Smackdown, I just really enjoy Smackdown. I feel like Smackdown is just easily more watchable and just more tolerable to get through. So the match that was originally supposed to happen at Hell in a Cell ends up being moved over to SmackDown. That is Rey Mysterio versus Roman Reigns. It is now being tested on SmackDown, and it's a Hell in a Cell match. So this is the first televised Hell in a Cell match since 1998. When Mankind battled Kane. And believe it or not, I would have only been 3 years old when that. I was only 3 years old when that match took place. So yeah, that's how long it's been since we've had a televised Hell in a Cell matchup. So our first match of the night was Apollo Crews and the debuting Commander Aziz, making his debut as they battle Big E and Kevin Owens. And Apollo and Aziz would get the victory here. I mean, this wasn't a shock. Were you guys shocked by this? I don't think anyone was surprised that this was going to be the result. It's Commander Aziz's debut. He is not going to lose his debut match. And you know what? Aziz was alright. It was definitely better than Eva Marie's debut, definitely. Which is something that shouldn't be shockingly said, because Eva Marie is an absolute freaking bum. And she didn't throw a damn punch. She hasn't proven to us that she's improved or wrestled. But I'll remain optimistic about Eva Marie until that day happens. So Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens was the replacement match for Roman and Rey, I'm assuming. That was the replacement match. And then they also added Cesaro and Seth Rollins as well, which was also, alright, I suppose. And then we had Shinsuke Nakamura battle King Corbin in the Battle of the Crown. The winner would receive the crown of the King of the Ring. And you guys know me, I am no fan of King Corbin. I feel like the King of the Ring thing for Corbin has ran its course. He's been King of the Ring since 2019. Almost 2 years as King of the Ring, and at long last, it's over. Shinsuke Nakamura wins the King of the Ring crown with a Kinshasa to the Benevolent King. So Corbin no longer has the character. I believe he'll revert back to Baron Corbin. And he'll probably revert back to his Lone Wolf character. I don't know. I just think he'll probably revert back to his Lone Wolf character. I mean, like, what else could you possibly think? What other possible gimmick could you think for Baron Corbin? Other than the Lone Wolf thing, which I didn't mind the Lone Wolf. I didn't mind the Lone Wolf character. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? What character do you give King Corbin? He's not going to be the Constable anymore. God, no. I hated that era of Corbin. But you're just going to give him a whole new character? I don't know what you could possibly do for King Corbin, other than just reverting him back to the character that he once was before, which was the Lone Wolf. So I guess only time will tell to see what else you could possibly do with Corbin. But right now, Corbin is no longer King of the Ring. So I guess that is possibly the best news I have heard in a long time. So congratulations to Shinsuke becoming the new king of WWE. Hopefully he gets pushed. But I highly doubt that. You know, to be honest, I really hope Shinsuke Nakamura, actually, when the next draft comes up, I would actually like Shinsuke Nakamura to head over to Monday Night Raw. I would really like Shinsuke Nakamura on Raw. He's yet to be on Raw. And I feel like he really needs to be there. Because he's never been on Raw yet. He's always been a SmackDown guy. But then again, Monday Night Raw is a complete shithole. But then again, Monday Night Raw is a complete shithole. And if Nakamura goes over there, then he's going to be a part of the shitty booking. He's going to be a part of the shitty booking and all the other trash that happens on Monday Night Raw. For all we know, he'll probably be in the 24/7 championship picture. So maybe I'll eat my words later on. But in my opinion, to make Monday Night Raw at least a tolerable show, at least get some big names on that show. Jesus Christ. And I don't mean Sasha Banks either. Keep her here on SmackDown. Keep her away from all the trash and shit that's going on SmackDown. Or going over on Monday Night Raw. Excuse me. SmackDown is her show. And speaking of the women, we have Bianca Belair and Bayley next. They have a face-to-face, and Bayley gives Bianca Belair a painful message en route to Hell in a Cell showdown. So they added the Hell in a Cell stipulation to the Bianca Belair Bayley match. Now here's the thing. There's been a debate going on social media about which women's match deserved Hell in a Cell. Did Bianca and Bayley need it, or did Charlotte and Rhea? In my opinion, Rhea and Charlotte may have needed it because they've got more animosity and theirs feel a bit more personal. Theirs feels a bit more personal than Bianca and Bayley, because Bianca and Bayley haven't really done anything overly personal, unlike Rhea and Charlotte have over the last year. Because remember, Rhea is getting revenge on Rhea. Rhea is getting revenge on Charlotte for what happened to her at WrestleMania. Well, at least I hope so. Or at least I can hope so anyway. But yeah, there's just been a big massive debate over which match needed the Hell in a Cell match. I'm fine with Bianca and Bayley having the Hell in a Cell match because it's going to be a good match. I'm okay with them having the Hell in a Cell, but I do think maybe Rhea and Charlotte needed it because I think theirs is a bit more personal than Bianca and Bayley. But the other positive for Bianca and Bayley having the Hell in a Cell is that a Hell in a Cell match is meant to end feuds. But I don't see this ending the Roman Reigns, Rey Mysterio feud, so who knows. And I'll actually get on to the Rey Mysterio stuff later, because I do have some things to say about that, which is kind of stupid. But, you know, despite SmackDown being a good show, there are still some things I want to point out. So, other than that, I think Bianca and Bayley having Hell in a Cell is also going to be the meaning of the end of the rivalry. And Hell in a Cells are meant to end rivalries, which is why I kind of wanted Rhea and Charlotte to have it, because when Rhea would beat Charlotte inside Hell in a Cell, then that would be the end of the feud. But then again, who would you move Rhea onto? Other than a certain girl that... other than a certain girl with a stupid doll. Other than that person. So I could definitely see Rhea and Charlotte's feud continuing. So, yeah. I think that is the main reason why Bianca and Bayley have Hell in a Cell, because they're most likely ending this feud and Bianca's moving on to somebody else. Possibly Carmella. Angelo Dawkins and Otis's match didn't have a result. It ended in a no contest due to Otis completely obliterating Angelo Dawkins, and I actually like this. I really do like this new side of Alpha Academy, especially Otis. I'm liking this new side of Otis. Otis as a heel, like, he's definitely showing a more aggressive side of himself, and he does look really ridiculous without a beard. I will say that. Otis does look pretty ridiculous with a formal shaved face. And the Alpha Academy finally have their own music. When it comes to being a tag team, and I think a lot of people agree with me on this, to be a tag team, you got to have your own gimmick, and you got to have your own tag team music. And I personally did not like when Alpha Academy were first brought together. Like the potential the team had really piqued my interest when this first started. But the thing that I didn't like is that when Alpha Academy were first born as a tag team, they were using Otis's theme music. Now, I don't know how Otis's theme music would have worked for a tag team, which is why I was very confused by it at the time. But now that they've got their own music, I can happily say, yeah, they are now a real team. And many people say, to be a real team, you gotta dress the same. Otis and Chad definitely dressed the same. They definitely had the same ring attire, which can be said for Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. They're now a real team because they, dress the same, and they got their own music, which they barely use now. So to me, to be a real tag team, you gotta have your own music, and you also got to dress the same. Don't just randomly put two people together and be like, yeah, there's a tag team. You want to put two people together, fine, but just make sure that they look the part and they dress the same and they actually have legitimate tag team music. That's really all I feel like that needs to be said there. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Alpha Academy. They're now a real team because they've got their own music. And I really am liking this new heel side of Otis. I'm liking this new heel side of him. And I think Otis and Chad, to me, should be future tag team champions. Because I feel like they've been really good so far. And they're bringing out the monster within Otis, which is something I also like. Because I like this because I didn't mind the goofy, lovable side of the guy, but I feel like after losing his Money in the Bank, I felt like the heel turn was needed, because I feel like the guy should really have had animosity after losing the Money in the Bank briefcase. So, yeah, that's really all my thoughts about that. And then we had the Hell in a Cell match with Rey Mysterio and Roman Reigns. If there's one thing that I'm getting very tired of when it comes to Rey Mysterio's feuds, is that it always has to be about his godforsaken son. Like, seriously, like, I obviously didn't really think of this at the time, but when I saw someone tweet about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. I'm so goddamn, like, Dominic Mysterio is a grown man. He's now a WWE superstar, and here is Rey Mysterio talking about, how dare you hurt my son? How dare you do that to him? How dare you do that to my son, Roman? Oh, my poor son. He's a freaking wrestler. He signed up for this. He knew what he was getting himself into. I get it, he's a dad and he's supposed to care for his son. But seriously, this is the same shit, and you guys may not agree with me, but this is the same shit that Rey was doing with Seth Rollins. That they just removed Seth Rollins and they just added Roman Reigns. That's all they've done. It's the same shit. It's the same thing. But this time it's just Roman. What's next? Jey Uso's gonna have an affair with Aaliyah? Is that what's next? We're going to see Jey Uso having an affair with Aaliyah Mysterio? Is that what's going to happen next? Give me a friggin' break. There's all these Mysterio... There's this... Rey stuff always have to be about the godforsaken family? You hurt my son! Yeah, and your son's a professional wrestler. He knew what he was getting himself into. Secondly, if Dominic is injured, Why are Rey and Dominic not stripped of the tag team titles? What? Why does this happen? Why? If Dominic is injured, shouldn't he and Rey be forfeiting the tag team titles? When this happened to Naomi in 2017, she was immediately stripped of her title. Remember when Andrade was the United States champion and he was injured? Oh no, he was able to keep the title while he was injured. So how come certain people lose their titles due to injury, but other wrestlers who get injured do keep their title? It's either they keep it's either they get stripped of the title once they're injured, or they keep the title. I just don't understand why this is a thing. If they're injured, they should automatically be stripped of the titles. I don't care if Rey is still wrestling. And I've never cared for Rey or Dominic. I've never been a big... I loved Rey back in the day. Rey was really good back in the day, but now I just couldn't care less. It's just nostalgia. He's just nostalgia. He's just nostalgia. Dominic is basically there now to fill in his shoes when Rey eventually retires. But Jesus, I just do not understand why every Rey Mysterio feud has to be all about his God-forsaken son and his God-forsaken family. Yes, Roman's feud is about his family, but Roman feud with Jimmy and Jay is the most interesting thing that is taking place on SmackDown. It is the most interesting storyline, but when it comes to Rey, it's always about, oh, you hurt my son, I'm gonna come after you. It's ridiculous. What's next? What's next? Are we gonna find out the reason why Jey Uso wasn't on SmackDown is because he was gonna have an affair with Aaliyah? Give me a break. Give me a break, man. It's the same old shit when it comes to Rey. This is why I've lost interest in Rey, because it's just the same old shit. Seth and Cesaro had a funny interview, which I found Cesaro just nudging Seth over, which was pretty hilarious. Now another thing, where are the women? Another thing. I may love SmackDown, but there are definitely a few negatives that I can give it, and this is definitely one of the big major negatives I can give it. Where are the women? Why are SmackDown superstars Tamina and Natalya only on Raw now? I get it, Mandy and Dana Brooke are on Raw and they need opponents. But why are they not competing on their actual brand? And I get it, the Women's Tag Team Championships have to be hot potato between Raw and SmackDown. Okay. And the only reason why Natalya and Tamina no longer appear on SmackDown is because you released Ruby Riott. You had the Riott Squad, but no. You had to release Ruby. Anyway, the main problem here is that we're only getting Bianca and Bayley. And I don't and don't get me wrong, I love Bayley. Bianca, I'm not sold on. I'm not really sold on her as champion right now. She hasn't really had a good reign. I can't say I'm really I can't say I'm liking Bianca as champion. I would much rather Sasha Banks as champion, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm not really enjoying Bianca's title reign. Not that much anyway. Hopefully she can turn me around on it later. But, and another thing is, why do we see Carmella and Liv Morgan a couple of times, but then we don't see them again? Where's Mia Yim? Why hasn't she debuted yet? You've got women on SmackDown, but you just don't use them. You've got women on SmackDown, but you just don't use them, and this is why the frickin' draft is desperately needed to bring up some NXT names like Io Shirai and Toni Storm and Dakota Kai, so they can all come into SmackDown and be added as extra layers for SmackDown. SmackDown are not showcasing their women, especially Mia Yim. Why send Mia Yim to SmackDown just to sit her in catering? Same thing, I can say the same thing for Shane Thorne. Why move him to SmackDown just to sit him in catering? Why move these people if all you're going to do is just do nothing with them? That's my only negative that I can give about SmackDown. Other than that, I think overall SmackDown is one of the best shows when it comes to WWE. When it comes to WWE TV, SmackDown is easily the best show. NXT and Raw are just clearly unwatchable. I don't barely watch NXT, so how would I be able to comment? Hey, I completely skipped out on NXT TakeOver because most of my friends told me the card looked shit, and they thought it wasn't going to be good. So, hey, I guess it was a good thing I didn't watch it. But overall, I think SmackDown's easily the best show. Raw is the worst. NXT... I think NXT and Raw are kind of tied. But I did hear NXT this week was a bit good because of Samoa Joe returning. So maybe NXT may move up the rankings a little bit when it comes to being better than Raw. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts and opinions on SmackDown. I personally just... Other than the few negatives that I've given you guys, overall, SmackDown's a really good show, and I just love SmackDown. Outside of the few negatives that I can give. So, thank you all so much for joining me. Hit that thumbs up if you guys did enjoy this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below, and I will see you all next time.